Hi guys, it's Shayla again from Freckle Finance, and today I'm going to do a video covering where we have our money invested. If you're new to this channel, make sure you click that subscribe button below. I upload videos on personal finance, financial independence, and lifestyle videos. So first of all, since I disclosed in Canada where I had my money invested in, I will disclose it here. It's in a Schwab account, and we already had stuff in a Schwab account, so we just decided that it would be fine to keep this account. It's not that Schwab is necessarily better than the other, and I can do a video. Let me know in the comments down below if you want me to do a video. What my top investment brokers are. You know, I like online ones that I can manage myself, which Schwab is also, and ones with free ETFs. So this also has free ETFs. We don't quite have anything like this as far as I can tell in Canada that has so many free ETFs. And so we went with, and we just stuck with Schwab because we already have to go into that account. It's just easier to keep the money all there. I posted a long time ago that we are following the Canadian couch potato strategy in Canada. We modified it for our risk level, and the Canadian couch potato is actually based off couch potato, which is American. But either way, I didn't look up what the couch potato is invested in. I just took the strategy that we had in Canada and I'm applying it here in the US. So that reflects what I have and where I invested everything. So the first one that we are invested in now, because we are using Schwab, I obviously went with the free to purchase Schwab ETFs, and these are to purchase and sell. And actually I bought one, like I did quick research and I was like, oh, this one's good, and I bought it, and then I'm like, wait, this one's not as good as I thought. So I sold it the same day. I think there was like a $6 profit on it, and then I went and bought the correct one. And the reason I sold the other one was just it had a 0.2% MER, and I try to keep it as low as possible. So I just switched it to one that had a lower MER, which overall in the long term, or even in the short term, overall it makes more money, but in the long term it makes a stronger impact to have a much lower MER. So the first thing that I have is the Schwab International Equity ETF. This was one of the lowest fee international ETF that I saw that I liked, that you could also purchase for free. Now, generally international ETFs, my son just fell asleep. Generally international ETFs have a higher MER. The MER is 0.06%, so very low fee. Actually, that's really, I think I was probably shocked because I forgot that it was that low. Usually 0.2 is about what you can get that's good. At least that's the way it was in Canada. So I've mentioned this before, I do not want it just diversified within one country. I know that at least compared to Canada, the US does have a more diverse industry base to invest in. However, you can't guarantee that the American market is always going to do well, and sometimes international markets do really well, and so I prefer to put some of the money into an international market. So the second investment that we have is the Schwab US Broad Market ETF, and so that is an American ETF. So the Schwab US Broad Market ETF, I didn't want to invest in American and just large capital companies. You know, they do very well, but you know, rising stars also make their way up as well. So you want to have it diversified across how large of a capital the company has. So this actually has currently has 41.49% giant, 30.78% large. So it still has a huge portion of large. Because that is where you make most of the money off, is off a large company, but it does have 19.02% that are medium-sized, 6.68 that are small, and micro-sized is 2.03. So it is diversified. If you're someone who doesn't care and you just want to focus on one capital size, small, medium, large, or you want to diversify it by purchasing that individually instead of just buying one ETF, there's always options free that are like that as well. And the MER on this one is 0.03, so it's half the cost of the international one, so it still is cheaper, as I said that it would be. So the last ETF that we have, and I believe that my husband had actually picked this because it's the same one that he has in his 401k, and this is the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. So it's pretty much the Vanguard equivalent of the Schwab. It was also free to purchase, I believe. I didn't go and repurchase these, but I'm not going to bother selling them. I would have to look to make sure that they are even free to sell in the first place. But the MER is slightly more at 0.04. It makes very little difference, but even so, it's possible when I was analyzing this that also the other one was making a better profit over the short, medium, and long term. And when you are looking for investments, you need to make sure that you're not just looking at how well it did in the last month. It usually has since inception, some of them will say the last month or 3 months, the last year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. You need to kind of see how broad it is, and that's really what shows the volatility of a stock. I mean, that's not the only way, but that is a good, like, quick reference way to see the volatility of a stock or an ETF, because you don't want too many high volatility ones. Now, the younger you are, the more you can risk the high volatility ones, but I personally prefer not to have that. Top holdings are pretty similar. The top holdings on both of them are Apple. Then Microsoft is the next one. Amazon is fourth on one and third on the other. So like the top holdings on them are fairly similar in the first place. I should probably explain that we currently do not have any bonds. We don't feel that we're old enough to need bonds. However, the older you are, bonds are far more stable than ETF stocks. So if you are older, you should have bonds, and you should have a higher ratio of bonds the older you get. We just don't feel at this point that we need to take that on, because it does dramatically decrease the amount of money you make, but you don't want to make the mistake of not having bonds because you don't want to take on the risk. And I do have some videos already on ETFs and stocks and bonds. Honestly, they were so long ago, I'm not sure exactly which ones I did. So I will link those down below, and I can also link some of my Canadian content that's related to this down below as well, if any of you are Canadian viewers or American or international viewers who are just interested in knowing some of the Canadian stuff, because I used to watch the American stuff because I found it entertaining and stuff like that, and it turned out that it was really good that I learned it, because now I live in the US. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions related to what we have in holdings, and if you want to disclose it, feel free to also let me know where you guys have your money invested, if you have money invested, or if you're planning to invest, where you plan to invest it. And remember that no matter what your financial situation is, have a great day. Bye.